Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review the new horror film from IFC Films, Consecration. And this is a film from writer-director Christopher Smith, who has worked on some different projects that, whether it's apparently worked on the Alex Rider television series, because, that was a thing at one point, and a lot of his stuff is pretty under the radar, getting a chance here working with IFC to bring to life this horror thriller that after the alleged suicide of her priest brother, Grace travels to a remote Scottish convent where he fell to his death. Distrusting the Church's account, she uncovers murder, sacrilege, and disturbing truth about herself. Tantalizing. And this particular film is very much a religious horror film, draped in religious imagery. There's a lot of whites, a lot of blood reds all over those whites because, bad things happen. And Grace is followed and connected with some strange nun-type figure. You'll see in the background, in the reflection of a mirror, this woman in all white. And as Grace comes to this island and starts trying to pull back layers, the film, attempts to tackle different kinds of religious ideas, and none of it, I think, is done in a way that's particularly interesting or particularly engaging or memorable. One of the big aspects of this film is how personal this mystery becomes. There's a lot of twists and turns along the way. There's even a lot more to this whole haunting by this guardian angel type nun figure that was cool the first couple of times that I saw it in movies, and now it just kind of feels like, oh, this is our big creative way of doing this. And it's just I can name at least a couple of films off the top of my head that did the same exact kind of flow and tease. I do have to say, Jenna Malone gives a really strong performance at the core of this film. There's a lot asked of her as she processes grief and confusion. You do have supporting characters like Father Romero, played by Danny Houston, who I think does a fine job despite the fact that so much of his job is just exposition. You have Janet Suzman, who's the Mother Superior. You have Ian Price, who pops up briefly as Grace's father. And you have all of these different elements, these actors, some of which doing really good work, some of which trying to do the best with the work that they're given, or just, is limited by just what exactly is given to them to say. In this particular film, Malone's performance is really strong, and I also think the technical aspects, you see some really impressive cinematography from Rob Hart and Sean Munn, and Rob Hart has worked on such things as Killing Eve. You have a very eerie score by Nathan Halpern, who's worked on Emily the Criminal and The Rider, Watcher, Swallow. Few films here and there in the past 4 or 5 years. And technically, just the imagery is very poignant. The production design and costume design is really well done. There's definitely going to be some images from this film that are going to sit with me for a long time after the credits start rolling on this film. And the technical aspects are there. Some strong performances are there. It just, I never feel like the story really matches the intensity of the performances with the building up pieces of this particular story. And by the end, you're just kind of well, am I shocked? How's this even processing? What even really happened? And there's a bit of that here. And in general, I think this is a okay horror experience. Nothing particularly big and bold and interesting. And really pushing some boundaries. This does feel like it's playing it pretty safe and just kind of going with that flow for this film. But if you're really into these hard type films, especially something that's deeply rooted in religious themes and ideas, this one might give you a little bit more enjoyment than it did me. But in general, not the hugest fan of this film, and I wouldn't be surprised if it just goes straight under the radar. But those are my thoughts on Consecration. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.